Morning, you Ammonites. Let's do the last the last one here on Theo. Right, Kingsley Street, Johnson Street, 115A Johnson Street. That's the cheeky monkey, right? Let's have a look. Let's put the rest as Theo myths and stories and backpackers that don't even know what they're talking about. Right, there's the cheeky monkey. Right, clearly see it. There's its name there, right? Cheeky monkey. Now, Theo walks out the door, which would have been about here. Here's where Theo walks out. There's the famous security camera on the TV show. And there's the corner down there where Theo goes. Right. Read that stupid thing down in the corner. Anyway, right. Now, I just done a Google. Now, this British guy, he turned around and said Theo could have walked home 20 minutes from the cheeky monkey back to 25 Childy, or whatever you want to call it, Childe Street, Byron Bay North, right? Here it is here. He said he could walk back there in 20 minutes. It says 5 minutes by car. Look how far it is. 3.1 kilometres or 6 minutes via Johnson Street, or 23.1 kilometres by Butler Street. Now, I don't quite sure know where Butler Street is, but 2.7 by Johnson Street. There's no way in the world Theo would walk all that way, 3.1 kilometres. You're not going to tell me a guy can walk 1 kilometre in 6 minutes, right? The human body doesn't walk that fast. And when you're by a bay and Theo had a couple of drinks, he's certainly not going to be walking that speed, right? So that guy, I really feel like calling him Peanut Head because he really tried to run down all the local people and try to make out Byron Bay is a bad joint. Now, this is him here. Um, why do so many people go missing around Byron Bay, right? And his name is... I wrote him a lovely comment there. Me, an Australian who knows Byron people well, right? That's somebody else there made a comment 8 months ago. They don't like his comments either. Right, disturbing. Now, look at the picture he's got. He tries to make horror movies, true crime stories out of something he doesn't know. Now, he made that video on Theo. How long ago? Let's have a look. Let's see if we can just see.
Contact with her family
10 months ago.
And there are serious concerns
right?
for her well-being, since the 2002 investigation has led experts to believe she may have been killed.
But anyway, big whoop. Look, he's a YouTuber. That's what he does to provoke money. Now, he said 10 months ago. This is now the 11th month, which means he made that back in January, right? Or February. In June this year, Theo's bag was found over in Nimbin, right? So he doesn't even have that piece of information. Now, I did this hand YouTube last night, and I'm redoing it again. If I sit back here. Now, what Theo done was, he's picked up his phone. I'm going to use my leggy, right? And you know when you hit your bottom of the phone like that, See, and you get all the little squares, and then you go and look up what you want to go and look up, don't you? Right? So okay, well, get rid of that, righto. There's me map one, right? So he says, oh, righto. So, get rid of that. I don't want that. And you go, I don't want that, and I don't want that, right? And he closes them off, right? Very simply. Now, if you watch the video there on Theo, like I did, I watched what he did. I mean, if he was scratching his backside, I would have noticed it, right? I was watching everything he was doing. I'm not sounding perverted, but that's what you do when you want to work something out that's really happened to somebody. Now, he goes on to say where Theo disappeared. Where's Theo? Hang on.
Been out with friends at the Cheeky Monkeys Hotel. Around 11 p.m, the young Belgian national leaves the pub. He enters the address of his...
Ah, damn it. Hang on. Bucket it.
out of a pub and into the night. He hasn't been seen since.
Now, watch what Theo does. Look.
365 days and he's still missing, and we've still not been given answers. There's a cruelty going on there underneath that. That's
Right. What was Theo doing? Right? Theo had his phone in his hand, and he had his head down to the right as he walked past the van. Now, you know yourself, when you get your head down to the right, you're not looking straight ahead, you're not looking to the right, you're not looking to the left, you're looking at your phone, right? And then he's gone along, and he's come across that. He's found his map, right? There's just a phone number keypad, right? For example. And I reckon what he's done, he's turned around and he said, I'm not going back to the hostel. He full well knows where the hostel is. He knows the hostel is north to the roundabout, turn left over the train tracks. You can't forget train tracks. How many movies have we seen where somebody reenacts where they were kidnapped in the back of a van with a hoodie over their head, and they said, "Oh, I distinctly remember going over train tracks." Dunk 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 dunk. Right? So he knows he's got to go over train tracks. Or you go around a roundabout, you feel the car sway as you swing around a roundabout. Or a hard right-hand corner. Or go over train tracks again out the other end of town where it goes dunk, 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 right? But he walked into town with his mate. And you've got to remember that because they come in, they went out, then they come back, right? Right. That's what everybody's forgetting. He didn't just come into town. He come into town, went back to town, and then he come back out again. Big difference. And that's why he didn't have all the other stuff there with him. So let's now have a look. And I've done all this on Google Earth. Now let's have a look. This is where Theo went. There's a cheeky monkey right here. I'm going to have to hold the phone over here so you can think. I should put the bracket on it, but I didn't do it. Right. So that's a cheeky monkey. He's walked out the door right about here. He's come down here. He's walked down here around the footpath, done the right thing. And then he's walked over Middleton Street, all the way down Kingsley Street. And then he's walked up Tennyson Street. Now, you're going to say, hang on, where's he going? Right, so there's Tennyson Street, runs there to a dead end. So there's a gap between the two streets. Now, if I put that on picture, let's just do it this way. I'll put the, see what I'm saying? This is why he ended up where he ended up. Now, what do you see that you don't see? People look and they don't see. People hear but they don't listen. I've always said that on my channel. So if you're new to the channel, respect it. What's that? Is that a road? No. Is it in line with the other road? No. Is it in line with the other road? No. It's a footpath, and it's there because it's solid concrete. It's all right, solid concrete. Theo, if he wanted to go home, when he left Cheeky Monkey, he would have walked up here, round the roundabout, over the train tracks, over here, out here. Now, I'm going to show you how far it is. It's a 45-minute walk. How do I know that? Because I used to live there. I walked it. Up here, across here, and right up here. This is where Theo was staying. Now, even their own brochure said feet away from the beach. It's not really, because they're on this side of the road. You're going to have to walk over there. It's still a 5-minute walk, right? It's not feet away. It's 5 minutes away. How far can you walk in 5 minutes? Go and get your watch out. Turn your watch on, right? False advertising, like all these holiday resorts. False advertising. They're going to make it look good. They want your dollar, right? Not blaming them, but just saying. But this Pommy guy, I said his name. He's trying to make horror stories out of something that's not really a horror story. This, to me, is just an unfortunate accident. And by the way how things have worked out, and I've got set in my ways, and I think I've worked it out, and I want your opinion. Do you agree with me? So Theo's walked up here, and then he's got to there, and Channel 10, Channel 9 has turned around and said he's met up with some other people because they all go down to Cuddly Corner and they drink alcohol and light up fires, right? A guy said that on YouTube 2 years ago, before this idiot come out and said what he said about mysteries and murders and all that. He's going back murders back to 1984. I mean, God, that's over 40 years ago. There's less people murdered in Byron Bay than what there is in Sydney in a week, right? In the whole history of Byron Bay. There's more murders. There's one murder in Sydney a week. How many murders in New York every day, right? Don't denigrate the people of Byron Bay. They're fantastic people, right? This is, to me, is a very simple accident. What's that say? Byron Bay Bar. Beach Hotel, Byron Bay. And just there is another drinking alcohol place. Same down here. Sorry. Balcony, there's oyster bars and there's another pub here, right? Now, where do they all walk if they want to go over here? They're going to walk on this road, aren't they? But what you don't know is this Tello's Beach Road over here is a mountain road. Go and look at the Google Earth of Byron Bay. It's mountain ranges. It goes up and down like that, right? It's mountain ranges. It goes up and down, up and down, up. And now you're going to walk that way when you're pissed, or are you going to try and take the most easiest way? Flat, right? Flat. That's the way you're going to walk. Flat. Right. Anyway, I reckon people that come out of here from Byron Bay Hotel, they'd walk down here, come down here, to come down to here, through the trail, to come down and walk across the park, to walk over to here, because they've been drinking at the Beach House Hotel at Byron Bay. Right? Nobody thought about this, but I drove a cab there. I lived there. And I know what these backpackers do. And then what they do, instead of walking all the way along this goat trail around the mountainside, right? I'll do a live Google Earth so you can see what I'm talking about. They walk across here in the flat. They come around here in the flat, come up here in the flat, very little bit of a hill. And then here, there it is there, Milne Track. Do, right? Everybody uses it, or else why would it be on the mapping system, right? Why else would it be on Google? Because everybody uses it, right? And this homeless guy lived. There's Milne Track. There's the Sandy Beach. Pardon me, Bourbon. This is where the homeless guy used to live. And he said all the time, the backpackers come down here and then they walk up here and they take their grog and they don't go near him because they know that's his home. And then they walk right up here, up past where the road comes in there from the car park, Tallows Beach car park, right? There it is there, right? That's the ranger station up in there. And then instead of walking down here, up over all these hills, they come across the flat. And they walk along the flat beach. And then they come right up here to Cozy Corner. Now, what's a backpacker going to do if he's walking all by himself and he meets 6 other backpackers and he sees they're all backpackers? What's he going to do? Is he going to say, go and get stuffed, piss off, I don't want to know you? Or is he going to be a backpacker and say, oh, hello, my name is Theo, I come from Belgium. And they say, oh, hello, Theo, I'm so-and-so, I'm from Sweden. I'm so-and-so from Germany. I'm so-and-so from Italy. I'm so-and-so for what's his name? Now, you say, how do I come up with that? Well, very simply, because when they cracked open his phone, which this mystery guy in England didn't know, Theo walked up this road, got to the end of it, and then backtracked and come back down. Then he went across the park, and then he went past all these houses. Now, if I grabbed you in the dark at Byron Bay, and we're walking up the street with all the houses, what's the first thing you're going to do? Help! 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 You're going to start yelling, aren't you? So why didn't Theo yell out? That's my question. There's plenty of houses. Look at the amount of houses. And he's gone from up there. There's houses on this side of the road, of this Tennyson Road. I've done a Google Earth on it. He's come across the park. There's houses either side there. It's houses either side there. Houses either side there. Houses all the way up there. Houses right up here, right up to the very end of the laneway. Why didn't he yell out for help? Because he was with somebody that he trusted. Now, even if somebody's got a bloody knife on you, say, for example, a screwdriver, you can still yell out help because by the time they go to pull the knife to go to stab you, you're still going to get a word out, aren't you? Someone's going to hear you. I hear it all the time outside the front of my house, and I'm in St Mary's on the main road. I still hear my next door neighbour screaming in the house next door. So don't tell me you're not going to hear him. All right, so why didn't he scream? That's the first question. Why didn't he scream? Right, so he's walked up here. He's met these backpackers coming this way. He's come back down here with the other backpackers. He's come across here. He's come down there. He's come down there. He's walked down here. Walked down the trail because it's all flat. Right, now, you want to see how hilly this is? I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. You can go do this yourself. Right, Tallow Beach Road. Here we go. Now, look at the relaxed people. See? Backpack, surfboards. Look, he's wearing his... Right? Right, you get the idea. There's Lawson Street that goes down there. That's coming from... That's going to the lighthouse. And this is Tallow Beach Road. Now, this is why he didn't walk up here. Let's look and see how far it is. See? Did you see that? You're going uphill. Watch. Now you're going downhill. There's the ranger station right there. See the building? Want me to come back? Look, show you. That's the ranger station. Mr. Dog, you come in again on a YouTube. It's me, dog. Now look at the road he would have walked up. Now look how far he would have to walk. Alone. He would have walked out here alone. And this to me, see the hill? Watch. Can you see it? Look, there's another hill. See? There's a hill there. See? Even the Google Earth car jumped down it. And then you still got to keep going. And then you still got to keep going. And then finally, you reach the car park. Right? And then once you go through the car park, you then walk. Where are we? See, so you've got more people standing there. They're getting their gear. There's the toilet block. I parked my car there. And then he would have walked over here. And there's a walking trail there out onto the beach. Now, that's not much more different than walking down the Milne Street track, is it? Look at it. That's just as bad. It's covered in bushes. It's sand. There's no lights. It's exactly the same. Exactly the same terrain. Right? So if he's walked down there, what's the difference from him walking down over here? Right? It's the same bush. If you're going to be about scared walking down there, you're going to be scared about walking down there. Exactly the same scrub, right? It's nothing to do there with the people, right? So he's walked down there with backpackers and he's come down here and he's gone, oh, I'll go down here with these guys. I'll go down here and I'll have a drink. And then he's clearly, his GPS shows him walking straight up here. And then he sits down up here. He watches his movie, walks up to the lookout up there in the grass, which is not very high. And then he walks back down. He puts his stuff down there near the beach. Right? Now that's this picture here. Let's have a look at it. Oh, can you see something? Can you see something that everybody has not got in their mind? Let's have a good look at this. I'll zoom it out a bit so it's a bit clear. This is exactly where Theo went missing. See? It's exactly the same scrub all the way along the countryside. See the steepness of the hill? He can't get out. Right, so then if you then take it on, all right, let's try the next one. Look at the amount of people there during the day. But you notice there's nobody right up the other end. Now this is where Theo last stood. He's walked up here. He's walked up the trail over here. That's the corner gap of the mountain, right? The walking trail's there. And he's walked around there, parked there, and put his towel down there. Now you notice where the watermark is. You notice how high the water is on the rocks. That's got to be high tide or going up in tide. Look at the mark up here and the wash marks on the rocks. Everybody's been down the ocean. You've all seen the tide come in, the tide go out. Right, now let's see if we can find a low photo. Not ideal, but that is. Same beach. There's the car park track. That's where Theo come out down there. Look where the water is. It's way back down here. It's not up here. Look at the distance between the base of the trees. Drop your mind over there like a crow, right? And look at the distance. Now, let's look at the distance here. That's high tide. That's low tide. Right, low tide. High tide. Let's see if I can find another photo. Now, do you notice the ocean is around the bottom of the rocks below the lighthouse? That's high tide. See how steep it is? That's where Theo's phone went when his parents cracked it open back over there in Belgium. They tracked his phone around that rock face. Well, wouldn't it be there at high tide, would it? So the person whoever had his phone went round there at low tide. A lot of people get it's an ocean. There's a tide. Hello, if you get tides, winds, storms, people don't want to walk up and down over hills when they're walking flat ground. All this sort of thing. You got to take into account the way this young guy thinks. He's a very smart man. He's not stupid. He's not. He's not going to walk up and down over hills if he doesn't have to. He's had one or two drinks. He's not drunk, but he's tired. It's midnight. He doesn't want to walk up over a great big bloody hill like that. Why would you? Or a hill coming out there past a ranger station? No, when he can walk on dead flat ground. Plus, he's got company of other backpackers. Right, so let's see if we can find a better shot. There we go, low tide. The other one I was on already. Right, let's have a look. There's the corner. Up there, see? There's the corner there. Look, you can see it. And look where the waves are. Can you see the rock sticking out above my fingers? See, right above my finger. See the rock sticking out? There's no water there. Look how far it is there from where the beach is. Way down there, right down there, down to the water. And look, that is obviously where the tide comes in. Because look, there's a big lump of driftwood. Can you see it? Big lump of driftwood. How did the driftwood get there? Did it walk there? No. Because when that big tide there come in, it put it right up there. Am I making sense? Look, you can clearly see the rocks. That's how his phone went around the corner. You're now looking at the proof. There's the proof. That's how the phone went around the corner at low tide. So our last question is, what was the tide on that date? Now, I believe it was the 1st of June 2019. Now, whether it's a day or two either side, it's really not going to make much difference. I'll come back to that. We'll Google the tides. I'll find it. Right, I don't have the right time here, right date. But let's have a look. Today's time chart for Byron Bay, Friday the 19th of November 2019. Low tide at 2 a.m. High tide at 8:42 a.m. Low tide at 3:07 p.m., which is 13 hours later. High tide at 8:47 p.m. Right? So that's 12 hours and 5 minutes. This is 13 hours. Why is that? Because the tide comes in quicker than what it goes out. It comes in 12 hours and takes 13 hours to go out. Read it yourself. Simple bit of research. Now let's see if I can find the 1st of June 2019. So now we already know that in that 12-hour period, it was low tide and low tide again, or high tide and high tide, or medium tide, medium tide. Let's find out exactly what the tide time was on that date and time he was there. He left at Cheeky Monkey at 11:03 or 11:06 p.m. So let's find out what it was at midnight, which is be about the time it'll take him to get there, about an hour. Because he went up Tennyson Street, then he doubled back, and then he went across, then he went down through the bushes, and then he walked all the way up along the beach about half a kilometre, or half a mile, 3/4 of a mile. Righto. Well, The only one I can find is April 2019, Port Denison, Sydney Harbour. Now, let's have a look. June, Saturday the 1st, 12:30 midnight, it was low tide at 0.59 of a metre. At 6:31 a.m, it was high tide, and at 12:30 in the afternoon, it was low tide. Now, the tide between Sydney and Byron Bay would roughly be the same time because it all comes in on the east coast, right? So it's all going to hit the same time. The moon is where the moon is, right? Millions of miles away. So it's still going to be the same sort of time period. It's not going to be 6 hours different because it's still hitting the east coast of Australia. So just from that there alone, June the 1st, we can see at midnight it was low tide. Then it's high tide at 6:30 in the morning. Now, therefore, then, that's when his clothes could have got washed away. Think about it. If the tide come in on the 1st of June, up by 1.4 metres, up by 1 metre at 6:30 in the morning, and his clothes are sitting there, they could have got washed away. And then at 12:30 in the afternoon, when his phone was picked up at 12 o'clock, it's low tide. Therefore, then, that's when the guys walked around the corner with it. So if you take the time of Fort Denison, right, it's roughly the same time as Byron Bay because it's the same east coast of Australia. There's Byron Bay, there's Kempsey, there's Taree, there's Sydney. It's still the same tide coming in, isn't it? All the way up and down the east coast of Australia, roughly, right? So now let's have a look to see what it is up there today on this chart compared to this the chart up there at Byron Bay for today, right? We'll see if there's much of a time difference. Before I lose it, there's another example. August 18, 1st of August. See? 5 o'clock in the morning, 0.41, and 11 o'clock in the morning, it's 1.38 metres. Then by 4:50 in the afternoon, it's down to 0.58. And 11 o'clock at night, it's 1.60. So it's always higher in the dark. Remember that? It's higher in the dark. Look, 139 and then 152 in the dark. Because the sun's not there to pull on the ocean. And the moon comes closer. Right, this is Byron Bay. Let's have a look. 156. It goes up 1.4 metres, then it goes down 1.3 and goes right back down to 0.23 of a metre. Then it comes back up 1. So higher tide here in the morning and a lower higher tide at night. So that's opposite to Sydney. But you notice it still takes the same amount of time. You go and write you rewind this video, you write down the times, and you write down the depths of those two different dates, right? Previously down Port Jackson. Now let's see if I can find Byron Bay back on 2019. Now this is going to take a bit to find it. All right, let's just I'm going to try and do this another way. Low tide today, Friday, November 19, is at 2:09 a.m. All right, so let's say tonight 3:07 p.m. is low tide at Byron Bay. 3:07 p.m. low tide, Byron Bay today. Right, now let's do Port Jackson. Let's see what time low tide is. Let's see if it's around 3:07 p.m. Right, low tide 2 p.m. today. Friday the 19th, it's at 2 p.m. Right, now click back to Byron Bay. Low tide is at 3 p.m. 3:07 p.m. 2.3 metres. low PM, 0.66 metres in Port Jackson, which is Sydney Harbour. So Sydney Harbour is 1 hour behind Byron Bay. So the tide must come in like that. It comes in first down in Sydney and works its way across the coast. It must be like a wave coming over there from New Zealand and sweeps across, right? So Byron Bay is 1 hour behind Sydney. So there's the title there. That's today. Port Jackson. Right, I'll click it right in front of your eyes. Byron Bay, 19th. Port Jackson, 19th. Right, same day. No games, no trickery. 307, 201. So Byron Bay is 1 hour behind Sydney. So if Byron Bay is 1 hour behind Sydney, right, what would that make it back then? Right, let's have a look. So Byron Bay is 1 hour after Sydney. So there we have it again. All right. June 2019, Fort Denison. Sydney's 1 hour behind Byron Bay. So the 1st of June, it was 6:41 a.m. at low tide. 12:30 in the afternoon, it was high tide. 6 p.m. it was low tide. And 12:30 on, hang on, oh no, sorry, I'm reading May. Sorry, June, over here. 17, what's it, it's 8, 2010, 10 p.m. it was high tide. 12 from 18 to 6, 6:59. So that's 7 p.m. and it's 1 hour behind Fort Jackson. So there'll be 8 p.m. It'll be high tide. And then the high tide's going out. Like I said, if you got caught in the water and the tide's going out at 2:23 in the morning to low tide. So if he walked in the water there at 12 midnight, there it is there for yourself. You can see he would have been hard. It would have been, the tide would have been 2/3 the way out, because at 2:23 in the morning it would have been low tide, and if he went in the water, so the water would have been coming in and going out, so it would have dragged him out because the tide was going out. So it was an outbound tide. Look at it yourself. Work it out yourself. 1:23 Port Jackson, so it's 2:23 at Byron Bay. It was low tide on the 2nd. And then on a Sunday, the Saturday, his phone disappeared at midday. So midday, it would have been down low tide, because at 1:30 in the afternoon, it was dead low tide. So the tide would have been going out at 1:30 in the afternoon. Look, if I worked it out wrong in my brain, I apologise. But look, there it is there. You work it out yourself. You have 1 hour on there for Byron Bay compared to the standard time there at Port Jackson, Fort Denison and Sydney. We've already worked out Byron Bay's 1 hour later. Google it yourself. New South Wales tides 2018, 2019. There you go. That's all you got to type in. All right, I think that's a slam dunk. The tide was on the way out and it was low tide at midday on the 1st of June. Around midday, it was low tide. And that's why the guy walked around the rocks. Because it didn't get back to being high tide until 1959, which would be 10 o'clock at night. So 2000 hours, it would be 10 o'clock at night, it would have been high tide. on the following night, right? On the following night. Even the night after that. June the 2nd, high tide again. Would have been 7, 19, 20, 2037. So 2037 be 8:37 at night. Then it'll still be high tide. So there you go. Have a look. Go and Google it yourself. Go and work out the tide chart yourself. And I think that's the biggest piece of police work anybody else there can do. Look at the height of the tide. Now let's look at the height of the tide up here for Byron Bay. Right? Let's see how high that tide does come in. It comes in some 0.75 feet to 5.12 feet. 3.17 feet. So in other words, 113 metres, 0.23 of a metre, 0.23 of a metre, 1.56 metre, and then 0.11 of a metre. Now, do you know how long that is? Right, let's go have a look. There. 1.56 of a metre goes from there and goes all the way right out there. So now if I stand that up, that's my eyeballs. That's as high as your head, right? Look. Now you don't think that's very much, all right? Now you take that as salt water, and that's going all the way down the beach. So again, looking at the tidal chart, 1.56 metre is as high as my head, and 0.23 of a metre be about the thickness of my foot. So you go and work that out. And then 1.3 metre, they'd be about as high as up here on my chest. Now, if that's not a lot of water coming in on that flat sand, right, want to go back to the picture? Let's have a look at the picture. All right. Is that a hilly ocean? No. But now look at the height of that person standing there, all right? Sorry, you can't see it. I'll zoom in on it. That water is going to go from his feet to his head. And you can see that comes uphill. Look at the background, right? You work it out. That's going to go up to the height of that person's head, which means that ocean is going to come right up here, which is where that driftwood there is. Let's see the driftwood. Let's have a look at the driftwood again. You know there's no lifeguards? You see that? No flags, no nothing. Bet you didn't notice that either, did you? Right, now let's go and look at somewhere else. Right, so I made my point. That water there raises that depth out here, the height of that person, right up into these rocks. Look, you can see the rocks where the person walked around the edge with the mobile phone quite clearly. Low tide. That's how the phone got round the corner. Now, can you see the difference here? This is Main Beach. This is now on the north side of Byron Bay Lighthouse, looking west, going north that way to Surfers Paradise. The beach goes around. The new beach is way out there. I walked around over there. The Byron Bay solar power train goes to the creek over there. Theo's hostel is way up over there. And Theo went missing back that way around the other side of the headland over that way. Does that make sense? Right. Look at the height of the sand dune. Look where the waves are breaking. And there's the sandbar out here. And then it's dark blue out here. The current is way out here. And look at all the people on the beach. Now let's see if we can find some more people on the beach. Oh man, what a beauty, what a total different illustration of the depth of the beach. Now there's a lady standing there. There's a pair of thongs. She's taking them off. Look at the depth of the ocean. Look where it is at low tide. See, the water's been up here at high tide and it's still coming out of the sand. If you don't know what that is, that's the water in this sand here is coming out, running out, and it's running back down still. That's what that is. And look, the puppy dogs are playing in it. See how big the tide is at Byron Bay? Right. Yeah, you want to look at that? Yeah, have a look at that. Absorb that in your brain. That's the main beach at Byron Bay. People play it. Look, they leave the nets up there on the beach. There's Byron Bay headland. That's where we just were up there with that camera shot. Looking down on the beach. Right there. That's where we're just standing. Can you see the difference how much that ocean drops down? That's what I'm saying. We are sitting down here on the bottom of the ocean, virtually level with the bottom of the ocean. If that come up 6 inches, that water go whoosh into here, and then it works its way up. See it? Look, you can draw a line there yourself. Looks like a folded piece of paper. Camera doesn't really show it, but can you see it? It comes flat, all of a sudden the ocean comes in, then comes up. I got a photo of my dog swimming in that. 20 years ago, still exactly the same. When was that photo taken? Oh, what a coincidence. Look at that. October 2017. When Theo disappeared, June 2019. So that gives you an idea how much water comes out of there on the east coast of Australia. How much ocean rises and comes in. That's what I said. That current goes around that headland and swoops. It's like a big drain plug. People aren't getting it. Tell me if you think I'm right. Now, I'm going to find out some of these shark stories when these people go out here and they get chased out here onto this island by sharks. You got to read it yourself. Byron Bay's monster shark crisis. Catches tag 14 great whites. UK News. Several swimmers in the past few months while depths are whatever, right? Attacked. Shark attacks, the ocean depth statistics show depths. List of total fatal shark attacks in Australia, Wikipedia. Righto, let's have a look at let's look at this one. Let's see what they say. You might find this disturbing. I'm playing a video, I don't know what it is. Here it comes. This is Byron Bay. There's the drone, look, reflecting on the water. All right. Daily Mail UK, I've already done stories for them. All right, there's another one. Here we go. After teenager Mandy Hart Nimbin, 15, pictured, was mauled to death by a shark north of Coffs Harbour. A marine biology expert, there is an increasing risk of shark attacks in New South Wales. There you go. 15-year-old girl, gone. Here's another one. Here's the doctor bloke. Dr. Vic Pettymore tagging a 285 centimetre marble shark while in tonic immobility, in other words, pictured upside down, is like a transit state sharks go into when turned upside down. Oh, right, that's what you said. Mr. Harcourt said the warm eastern currents pulling the nutrient-rich water from the bottom of the sea was attracting prey fish and sharks. Great whites off the northern New South Wales coast and bull sharks in Sydney used to stay around for about 2 months, but now they are increasing to about 5 months, he said, he told the Australian. With the warming of the eastern Australian coast, we predict bull sharks are spending more time down south. We predict they will be spending a lot more time here in Sydney in the next decade. Daily Mail Australia contacted New South Wales Primary of Industry, which runs the shark program, of comments. And there's that shark there. There's the one there I showed you there. Now that was filmed at Ballina, which is just down the road from Byron Bay. A drone recorded a shark at Ballina on north of the DPI is also using drone detective Shark Smart, saying drones are the future, specialising in beach surveillance. Shark catchers can now easily catch and tag the marine mammals thanks to smart drum lines, which currently being trialled on the north coast of Lennox Head to Evans Head. Now, Lennox Head is just south of Byron Bay, right? The Byron Bay, Broken Head, Lennox Head, Evans Head, right? Evans Head's way down past Ballina. Otherwise, they're carried out across New South Wales, Newcastle, Ulladulla, Kiama, Foster, Tathra, Merimbula, way down the south coast, and Merimbula is down where the foot was found, right? All the way down there for that woman from Sydney. They went all the way down the south coast of Merimbula and Coffs Harbour, just south, 240 odd k's south of Byron Bay, Coffs Harbour, right? Foster, that's up there north of Newcastle, north of Sydney. There's Kiama Blowhole, that's south of Wollongong. Ulladulla, south of Wollongong, there's Sydney. So they're not in order up and down the coast, right? So there we go. South Ballina, East Ballina, Lennox Head, Ballina, Main Beach, Evan Heads, Evan Head. That's just south of Ballina, right? And these are where the smart drum lines are. They're not up there around Byron Bay, right? So look, recent great white shark tagging, right? That's tagging, not attacks, tagging. It's just showing you where they are and what they're doing. They're coming in from the nutrients off Byron Bay. Now I'm still going to try and find Byron Bay shark attack. I've got 7 minutes. There we go. Byron Bay shark attack leaves surfer in hospital, beaches closed. Look at the chomp out of that. There's a policeman. Look at the date, February 2019. When you go disappeared? June 2019. Right? There's sharks around Byron Bay. You go in there for a dip, not being nasty, expect to get bitten. 7 News, Byron Bay shark attack. 7 News Melbourne, Byron Bay shark attack. Shark attack survivor. There's my leg and wouldn't let go. Right? Let's have a look. Let's see where this guy here was.
The 41-year-old remains in the Gold Coast University Hospital in an induced coma after he was savaged by a suspected juvenile great white as he paddled out with a mate at first light. It's not Mr. Edwards' first encounter with a shark. 20 years ago, his friend, Channel 7 sound recordist Tony Donoghue, was taken by a shark while the pair windsurfed on the York Peninsula in South Australia. Mr. Donoghue's body was never recovered. The beaches were reopened around 9:30 this morning after lifesavers did ski patrols. Seeing no sharks, they deemed the beaches safe.
We're just getting to swim between the flags and keeping an eye on the water. That's right.
You don't go so deep. I think it's no worries.
I don't want to go too far out, but other than that, I'm not that afraid.
Mr. Edwards is in a serious condition, but he is stable. He will require further surgery to the 4.5 hours he had yesterday. His family is by his bedside at the Gold Coast University Hospital.
Right, so there you go. There's one example of shark attack at Byron Bay. That was on main beach, not round the other side. That was on the main beach where the sandbar is. That's what I was talking about. The girls got chased out there onto an island. There we go. Sorry to say, I'm not doing this out of disrespect to anybody, right? I feel sorry for Theo's family. But if he did go in the water, this is just a bit of information they should be aware of. How many shark attacks had there been in Byron Bay? Australia has the highest incident of fatal shark attacks in the world in the last 30 years, with the beaches around Byron Bay the most dangerous. Witnessing 27 attacks, 3 of which have been fatal in that period. Read it for yourself. Australia has been the highest incident of fatal shark attacks in the world in the last 30 years, with the beaches around Byron Bay the most dangerous, witnessing 27 attacks, 3 which have been fatal. Oh, I think that's what we safely say up to Theo. If he put his clothes down there by the water, he got into the water, and the shark swims right up, it's got him in the dark, right? Because the tide was on the way out. He's got swept out on the tide on the way out. We looked at the tide charts. The tide would have been on the way out. He got swept out. Long come Mr. Shark. I said, thank you very much. I'll have you there for dinner. That's it. End of story. Nothing you, me, or God, or anybody else can do about it. So my sympathy out there to Theo Hayes' family and everybody else and all the police and everybody else that tried to find Theo. But I think a little bit of ingenuity, looking at tide charts, where he was, what time of the year, the statistics on sharks, and the police have even said shark attack on Theo, and yet people still insist there's this mass murderer running around killing people. People do drug overdoses in tents around Byron Bay. There's always been drug overdoses here in Sydney. There's drug overdose up down the road here from me there the other day during the COVID lockdown. The old man 2 doors down the road from me died of a COVID-19, and we never knew he even had it. So how can you say you're going to know when something's going to happen? You don't know, right? And he died of COVID, and he was 2 doors down here from me. So there you go. And he had his funeral on the front lawn in the back of a hearse. So, and don't forget, if Theo left his wallet on the beach and somebody come along there at low tide at midday, which is roughly about 1 o'clock midday, which is what they said, 1 o'clock when his phone died in the battery, walking around the headland. You work that timetable out when I said low tide at Byron Bay is 1 hour earlier or later. I can't remember now. You go and look it up. Go and rewind the tape. Rewind this video. You look at the time difference. The 1 hour time difference. I found the Port Jackson timetable for that date, right, 1st of June. You work out the time date, it would have been low tide. That guy would have walked across those rocks with that phone when he found it, because poor Theo got swept out and got eaten up by a shark. And that's why nobody's found his clothes. Or Theo's probably put his clothes up there, put his phone in his wallet. Someone's come along, grabbed the phone and the wallet, thrown the phone in the bin, and taken the wallet. What's the news? 4 days later over there in Nimbin, oh shit, thrown it in the druggie house because the guy was a drug addict. That's why he's walking around that lower part of the headland. Backpackers don't walk around there. It's too dangerous if they break a leg. And he's gone over there. And a friend of mine told me, there's a friend of his tells him there's a local drug addict who goes around the Byron Bay headland and walks around there and goes to Nimbin, and he went to Moorlambar. And then he went to Moorlambar and said to a girl in front of my friend, he said, do you want to come out and spend the night with me in the squat out at Nimbin, and this is back in June this year, during the COVID lockdown, when nobody's meant to be moving anywhere in New South Wales. You tell me. Drug addicts don't care about the COVID-19 lockdown. They don't care. Anyway, from me, Mr. Hominoid, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it clears up a lot. Well, okay, I won't say enjoy it, but I hope it clears things up, and I hope it gives some peace of mind to Theo's family if they do watch it and do see it. I'm not going to delete the video. Leave me a comment if you think I'm wrong, by all means. I'm just going off everything I found on the internet. Tide charts, locations, news reports, what goes on, right? I'm not making it up. And I got told by a friend of mine, as I said, a known drug addict hitchhiked with a girl from Wollongbar down to that drug house in Nimbin 7 weeks ago, and to go and spend the night because they had nowhere else to live during the COVID pandemic lockdown. That's why his wallet is found in that house 2 years later, in that house, because nobody for 2 years could travel around because of the COVID lockdown. Because everybody is all around the world in protest about how Australia was locked down and treated like Adolf Hitler, and Gladys Berejiklian was called the female version of Adolf Hitler, her former New South Wales Premier. So that's it there for me, Mr. Hominoid. I'm shutting down, as the word says. Thanks for watching. Mr. Hominoid at gmail.com, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, or Mr. Hominoid at gmail.com.